regular council meeting for January 27th, 2015. Shannon, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury,
Here.
Mr. McDermott,
Here.
Mr. Yates,
Here.
Mrs. Stoffer, Mr. Roden, Mr. Sorese,
Here.
Mr. Scafidi.
Here.
Please join me in a prayer and pledge of allegiance. Father, you guide and govern everything with order and love. Look upon our assembly of cities, leaders, and fill them with your spirit of wisdom. May they always act in accordance with your will, and their decisions may be for peace and well-being for all. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes from the January 13th meeting? Having heard none, minutes stand as recorded. Do we have any awards or presentations this evening?
There is none.
Okay. Audience participation, please.
Yes. First, we have Kathy Bonacci.
Hello, my name is Kathy Bonacci. I live at 11327 Heritage Drive. So here I am again. I want to say thank you for your time to council, mayor. As you can recall, last council meeting held on January 13th, I mentioned I went house to house on a 31-degree day, asking my neighbors their opinion regarding the multi-purpose proposed trail from Glen Willow past the landfill into our beautiful city. I had obtained many signatures stating that they were opposed to the trail. To remind you, I also took an in favor of. I do not have any signatures in favor of. I'm going to be using these next couple minutes to share with you the reasons why my neighbors oppose the trail. Again, my job was just to listen to my neighbors, not dissuade or persuade. Here are their thoughts. They are worried about the safety of their family and homes. Many residents said that this trail would increase crime. Other residents mentioned that there are various birds that have nests in these big, beautiful trees where the trail may be erected. Are these birds protected by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service or other government agencies? These woods have not been touched in years. Has this been researched? Many residents were worried if they were to resell their homes. I can tell you that I did personally make a phone call to a realtor. This realtor is one that is not affected by this trail at all, and asked him what the impact is on reselling the house. They said it would be very difficult to find a buyer who thinks that this trail just feet away from their backyard is a good thing. And if this trail is such a good thing, then why is there no trail planned at the new Corbett's Farm development? I went there personally and asked the saleswoman. She laughed out loud. And something to the extent, she said, people don't want trails, they want their privacy. Then there was one resident that noted that they received more communication about the branch pickup than about this trail which directly impacts them in their own backyard. Another resident mentioned that they were promised a meeting during January to discuss this trail further. From several other residents, there's the same underlying issue. It was a lack of communication. This trail is a project. Project Management 101 calls for project managers to communicate with stakeholders. A stakeholder is defined as someone whose interests may be affected as a result of this project completion. They also may exert influence over the project's objectives and outcomes. Therefore, these residents are your stakeholders. Back in December, An email distribution was mentioned by a councilman to the city engineer regarding this trail. It's been over a month. Has that been started? Some residents said that if it were on the other side of the creek, that they would consider it. Not approve it, but consider it as a creek would act as a natural boundary. If it ends up just beyond their backyard, no way would they want it. Last week there was a mention by a council person in private conversation that there was a revised mapping of the trail being on the other side of the creek. I understand this map is just a work in progress. However, though, with a project such as this, a work in progress needs to be talked over with their stakeholders. So let's talk about this work in progress. Even if it's a revised mapping, show it to the residents. Call a Ward 1 meeting. But give these residents at least 2 weeks to set up their calendars. Give them adequate time. Listen to my neighbors the way that I have. And then communicate with them regarding this work in progress, what's called a WIP. Again, the residents are the stakeholders. These stakeholders are your voters. Many residents said to me that they will remember this situation at election time. Thank you. This last concern was from a resident that was most disturbing to me, most. They said they were worried about retribution from the city if they were to oppose this trail. Retribution is defined as the infliction of some pain or loss upon a person for a misdeed. Misdeed? What's a misdeed? A disagreement? Just moving the trail to the other side of the creek doesn't mean the residents want it. They just mean they'll consider it. The simple answer is, if it doesn't come on the other side of the creek and resides on the Twinsburg side, then the residents are going to say, revoke it. Thank you.
Shane, anybody else?
Yes. Next, we have Sheila Williams.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I want to talk about business first, and then I want to talk about something personal. We talked about visiting. You'd asked me about going to Summit County. I talked with Gene Nixon, and he told me to give Shannon Brenda's card, and you all can all get together to decide when you can go. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to ask you to let me know by email.
Okay.
We're moving along. It's all looking good. I felt after I talked with him that would be the best way where Shannon can get with the schedules of everyone to be able to go out to the facility. Kent State has a meeting in Twinsburg on Wednesday. We have our advisory meeting, and we're doing a lot of things there. There's a new dean. I'm sure most of you have met him. He's very energetic. He's got a lot of things he wants to do. And so if you're in the area Wednesday and you want to stop by, I know the meetings are open to the public. We'll be over at the regional academic campus. Because there's going to be a lot of things changing, such as online classes, where they were much cheaper. All the universities are going to be incorporating them and raising them. And so we're looking at the different things that are going on with that. With some of the security issues going on around the country, we've been having more talks about that here and at the Geauga campus. So Jared is a really nice, energetic young dean, and he's got a lot of things that he'd like to see happen. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm going to talk about something that's very near and dear to me, and I've talked with Kathy about it. I'm sorry, the mayor. I've talked with Human Resources, and I think I've talked with a couple of council people. This whole police department issue. And as I watched 60 Minutes Sunday, I thought to myself, I don't want to see us in any type of situation. I have said, I've been here 30 plus years. The community should be a reflection of everyone. I talked with Chris, and we talked about the 60 Minutes. We talked about the upcoming civil service test. We have 5 openings. I love my police officers. I believe that we're doing everything we can to try to do it. Me and the mayor have had some very long conversations about it. And I'm coming to council to say, this is a wonderful community. And this is one community. children have grown up here. I have one as old as 40, one as young as 22. And when they travel through this community, no one looks like them. And I've always said that all children, wherever they're coming from, should have someone that they can look around in their city government that looks like them. I think that's important. This is a very diverse community, and we are missing opportunities, and that's how I'm going to put it to council. I've talked with Colette from Human Resources about it, and I've expressed my concerns. And as all of these things have been going on around the country, and I've said to the mayor, I don't want that for my community. I don't want any type of prick, any type of questioning. I feel at ease anywhere I go in this city. I'm given the utmost respect. I work hard in this community. But I also think that we as a community need to really examine this and make some decisions. And that's my personal opinion. And I'm going to still work. I'm going to still support my police officers. I'm going to stand behind them. I have sat on committees to defend them, and I will do that. I have sat on committees to defend the civil service test. I think that it needs to be examined. And after all the things that we have done to try to improve this community, that is still something that has not happened here. And take it any way you want to take it, but I think that it's important that the children whose parents own property here, work in this community, are involved in this community, should see people that look like them. And if it was reversed, a lot of people would not be happy. So it's no different. It works both ways. Have a wonderful meeting, and I'm so sorry that Mr. Roten is not here. The Hanukkah was absolutely beautiful. And that was something of inclusion. And he put a lot of time into it. He thought about it. He told me it was a big decision. And I understand that, because I'm sure that there were people that were uncomfortable. But it's a reflection of our changing community. And it was packed. And the food was delicious. I saw several council people working, several cleaning up. And it was just a time of community. And when we did the Thanksgiving, and these are just examples of how inclusive our community can be when it wants to be. When the community donated the paper products, I believe, for the Thanksgiving dinner. There were a lot of people there. And the church community came out and worked.
1 minute.
And, you know, and those are things that make me defend my Twinsburg. Thank you.
Sheila, thank you. You know, you make some really good points. And one of the things is I was very happy to see you there that evening for the Hanukkah celebration. And I just wish more people in our community would take advantage of so many of the community events that we have that make us a great community. And also, your point is well taken about the diversity within our departments. We have made a major outreach into our universities, into neighborhoods. So I am hopeful that the applications that come in will reflect that, and that we will make some progress there. So I do appreciate that, Sheila. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes. Michael Turrell?
Good evening, Council. Michael Turrell, 9930 Forest Lake Drive. I am here speaking tonight on the issue that Ms. Bonacci just spoke on, the Tinkers, the bike trail down there, Tinker Estates. I was walking down through that neighborhood last week. I did not get as much territory as Ms. Bonacci covered. I covered probably about 10 homes in 4 hours because I talk a lot. And as I started talking to people, I just kept talking. I thought I genuinely understood their concerns when I was listening to them up here in council. It's been a while since I've been up here at the podium, because I don't come up here unless I have facts or unless I have something to say. I'm not just going to come up here and waste everybody's time. After I was at these people's homes, in their living rooms, out on their back porch, I got the full feeling of what is going on with this trail. This trail doesn't affect me. It doesn't go through my backyard. I could almost care less because it's not mine. No, that's not the case. These are my neighbors. If this was going through my yard, where all you folks are sitting up here, this trail literally, if this was the back porch, that trail is that wall right there. This trail is literally that close. Nobody would ever want to give up on that kind of privacy to have complete strangers walking through there. I don't understand the concept of why we need a bike trail from Twinsburg going into Glen Willow and Oakwood. To me, it's a big waste of money. If we want to do something with a bike trail, why not pick it up at Dodge and carry it down through our walkable downtown? Let's bring it downtown. That's what we want to do. We want to bring the traffic that way. Why are we going that way? It makes absolutely no sense, and especially with the concerns that these people have of losing their privacy, of losing their land. Now, there have been major, major concerns, I understand, for a long time with water erosion issues in their backyards, and none of this has been addressed, for what I understand. I would imagine there's funds out there for that. There's always grants for that. We always seem to be able to find grants for this and for that, and, you know, let's clean up Chrysler Slite. You know, let's take a trip to China. There's all kinds of grant monies out there. Why can't we do something to help protect these people's yards? And instead, we're going after grant money to put a trail to take away something from these people. I would like to ask everyone up here, would you guys like a bike trail that close from your back door? I know I wouldn't. They didn't ask me to speak here. I came up, this is totally on my own. After I walked this door to door and talked to these people, I felt this is something that I have to do. And I would like to hear everyone's views on this, if you guys would really like something like this in your backyard, if you think it would be okay, or if you would not like it. I'll yield the rest of my time to the floor. If anybody would like to comment.
Mike, I would like to address something here. I take exception to you saying that we don't look for grant money for problems like that. We certainly do. And we have tapped into many different agencies trying to find money for that project.
There's been nothing
to
for
correct
grants at
the
this
erosion,
point. There's
and it
been
is not be-
nothing for erosion at this point.
May I answer the question,
I'm
please?
sorry,
Your comments
she's
are,
asking
it's not a
me. Okay.
dialogue at this point, Pat.
Well,
should sit down and
she's
let her
asking me.
talk.
It is a dialogue because I often.
No,
All right,
that
then I'll
is not-
answer later.
Okay, well, go
sit
ahead.
down.
You can
Nope.
answer.
That's why I won't talk yet. When they're done, I'll talk.
Sam.
Okay, well. Okay, nobody will care to comment. And this is part of the problem with the communication within our city. I'm sorry if I cut you off and interrupted. I didn't mean to. But when I hear that we've been looking for grants, we've been looking for grants, we've been looking for grants, hey, look, we got money for a bike trail. That's not their problem.
You didn't even let her finish to even hear
I'm
her
sorry,
point.
and I apologize for that. But I hear that we have been looking, and I cut you off again too, I'm sorry. But I hear that we've been looking for grants, we've been looking for grants. We don't see it. So, with that, I will yield the podium, and you can answer my questions without me interrupting. My apologies, with all due respect for what it's worth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Shane, anybody else?
There's none.
Mayor, would you like to comment?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
The problem with obtaining grants for private property, it's nearly virtually impossible. Yes, we got grants for the Chrysler property because the federal government, the state government is very interested in helping to remediate brownfields. There are brownfield grants, there are environmental grants, job-ready site grants, because it is for the greater good of the community. It adds jobs, it builds the economy, and there are many grants out there for industry, for commercial development. There's grants from AMATS, from NOAC, for trails, because it's a different type of transportation that the state and the federal government is interested in building. They want those forms of transportation to connect communities. They want to encourage health and education in those kinds of activities, in hiking, biking. Again, it serves a great amount of people. When you look for grants for individual properties, it's almost impossible to find, again, because you're improving private property. The opportunity that we had at one point to improve the environmental erosion problem that we have back there was in conjunction with the trail, because installing the trail would give access to many people, and therefore they were willing to put some money into correcting the erosion problems. Without that trail, you will not find any grant money. And we've been looking for about 10 years. We've looked to all the different agencies, and again, they look at putting their money when they serve a great number of people, not just one or two, unfortunately. But that is not the only area in the city of Twinsburg that has erosion problems, and we have, over the years, investigated many, many types of grants, and they just don't fit. If you know anything about grants, I wish you would research them a little bit, and you'll find out for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Yeah, I would like to address Mrs. Bonacci's comments, and thank you, Mayor, for explaining that, because I wanted to talk about that as well. But, you know, since this trail plan was dusted off again probably last summer, and I understand that there's been a trail plan for the last 10 or 15 years that has never come to fruition. But as far as I know, since it was dusted off last summer, there's probably been about 4 or 5 different plans that have been a working plan, none of which were ever to be built without first meeting with the residents and all those concerned and all those that it affects. I've said that to every resident that I've talked with that has called me, and I've told them the same thing, and Mrs. Bonacci mentions a Ward 1 meeting. Well, I've said it several times that there will be a meeting when and if this thing ever gets to a final phase where this is a plan that the communities would like to roll out and that we think is a win-win for everybody. And I keep using those words, win-win. And that doesn't only include the 2 communities, but it includes the residents that are affected by this trail and those folks in Ward 1. We have, again last week, and I spoke with the Bonaccis, there was another plan that was rolled out. And truthfully, on both sides, the mayor of Glen Willow as well as this mayor looked at me and said, does this look acceptable? And we said no. The mayor and I said no at the same time. Because if you listen to some of the comments that have gone on here tonight, it looks like the people are speaking and nobody's listening to us. Nobody is hearing us. But that's really not the case. We are hearing you, and I've had those discussions, okay? That we are trying to still put what seems to be a good project together, but it's got to be a win-win for all involved, not only the 2 communities, okay? The folks, once again, that live there and that are affected by this project. There has to be a win there. So, of course, the next phase was, and as I've mentioned, you know, the one thing I've taken away from a lot of these meetings is if it's not in our backyard, if it's on the other side of the creek, okay, we're okay with it. Mrs. Bonacci says, well, we'll consider it. She says that's what she's heard. Okay, well, then that's fine. Then that'll be something that will be considered by everybody. But let's look at it this way. If I remember correctly, if we go on the other side of the creek, it's not even in Twinsburg anymore. They don't have to ask us. Right. Okay? That's all on the other side of the creek. So, you know, we can consider, I guess, all we want as far as our residents and our administration and council here, but it would really not be up to us to make that final decision. That's their property on the other side of the creek. And truthfully, it's not even in Summit County at that point. So we've heard everybody's concerns, and we've listened. We've listened long and hard. And that's why there has been no meetings yet. That's why there has not been a final plan, because the mayor of Glen Willow looked at me and said, is this acceptable to you? And I said, no, it's not. He's just as concerned. I got to tell you, the mayor of Glen Willow, as far as our mayor, our engineer, their engineering group, we're all trying to put this thing together, but to everybody's satisfaction. So when, in fact, that happens, I'll say it again, there will be a Ward 1 meeting. I don't know if you're going to call it a Ward 1 meeting, but there's going to be a meeting with everybody that's going to be affected by the building of this trail. And then we're going to sit down, and then we're going to have something to talk about from this point on. There was a grant that could have been applied for this week that's not going to be applied for. So that's really how far away we are from any final plan, any final drawings, any final anything. We don't have it. It's not there. Because, again, they passed on applying for any type of monies this week. Not to say that that'll never come up again and may not be applied for in the future. I don't want to mislead anybody. So, you know, from my point of view, the residents of Ward 1, the residents affected, have spoken. I've heard them. I've talked to some of them. Some of them I didn't talk to. Some of them, Mrs. Bonacci tells me what they had to say, okay? And I have no reason not to believe Mrs. Bonacci. So that's where we're at this point. And we'll continue to be at that stage until we're all called together in one room and say, here's the plan, here's what we've got, and here's what we want to discuss now. And I hope that helps. I hope that clears up some of the misconception that's out there, some of the stories that are out there, because it's not all true. You guys have talked, and we've listened. And that's exactly the direction that we're taking the whole plan of this trail in right now. So that's all I have, Council President. Thank you.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes, thank you. First, Mike, I will answer your question. I would not want that in my backyard, and I don't want it in their backyard. So I think that answers what you asked, if I'm not mistaken. Second, I want to add on to what the mayor was saying. When it comes to looking for grants, an exceptional job is done here. As I've said before, when we were in Washington, D.C., before Chrysler closed, anticipating the close of Chrysler, we met with people who have had automobile plants close in their town. And the cheapest and easiest thing for them to do is to put up a fence all the way around and leave it there forever. And they hire one guard that sits there 24/7, and it's cheap for them to do that. And we avoided that by going after grants and working through Mr. Finch and all the work that they had to do to put that together. I don't think it would have even sold without the grant money that came through to help clean that land and make it usable again and get it ready for what it's doing now. So we would have been in a mess, I believe. So we do, I shouldn't say we, but the people here do look for the grants that, and this was a perfect one that was available. Another one that I've been watching for, and it's again not my place, but people in the Gettysburg area over here have asked numerous times about a sound wall. Last summer I found a grant, just happened to be online, and I saw a grant that the government was starting to have grant money to help construct sound walls. I forwarded it to the mayor and Amy, and they pursued it, and they did a study, and I guess they're going to put up a sound wall now. So there are things that are done that people need and people want, but as far as, you know, matching them all, and, you know, sometimes you just can't do that. But and I'm sure everyone up here applauds the work that we've done in the past with grants. I understand the opposition to this trail, and I agree with you. And as I said, I wouldn't want it in my yard, and I won't support it by your yard. But to take it out of context and talk about wasting time with other grants, I don't think that's the case. Thanks.
Mr. Yates?
Yeah, just a couple of quick comments. When you talk about grants and money to stabilize the backyards of these residents, really I've walked this proposed path all the way from Glen Willow to Twinsburg. Spent a day out there, I believe, with Mr. Fury, Mr. Scafidi, and these yards are literally falling into Tinkers Creek. You know, this trail indirectly with its grants, I mean, part of the building of this would be to help stabilize some of that land. So I mean, I think while I think it'd be very difficult to find grants specifically for that purpose and nothing else. I mean, if it's in conjunction with a trail, I think there's a way to use some funding to help those residents. I mean, I saw residents' fence. You could tell where a fence went to one point and it got cut off and got moved back and got cut off and got moved back. I mean, they're slowly just losing. So I mean, without this trail, some of these residents, yeah, they could fish from their back porch soon. Not soon, but you know what I mean. It's eventually going to happen. And then to answer Mike's question, I'm sure Mr. Bonacci's saying, please don't ask Mr. Yates if he wants a trail in his backyard, because my kids grew up and I've spent a lot of time on trails all around, from the Cuyahoga Valley National Park to all the ones we have in Twinsburg to the Bedford Reservation to I spend most of my free time running or cycling or doing something on trails. So for me, it's a question that I would, you know, embrace having something that close to my backyard, because it saved me some time to get to one, because you know, I run in the summertime. Most mornings I run the golf course, and I just, you know, the quality of life that we have here, I think, and I think it's all connected. I think property values, our school system, from a recreational standpoint, what we offer residents, I think it all feeds each other. So I guess I can understand for those that don't spend any time on trails and don't enjoy them, and I think it'd be hard to envision that in your backyard. But you know, I've walked the one from Glenwood to, I mean, I've spent hours and hours from Glenwood to Dodge School on that trail. Held my breath every time I went past that, you know, wastewater management. You know, it increases my endurance if I can hold my breath for a quarter mile while I run by there. But you know, there's tons of backyards that trail impacted when it was put in. You know, and then you've also got the golf course. I think the golf course also runs through, you know, tons of backyards. But anyway, I look at things differently. I would embrace it, but I understand that there may be a lot that wouldn't. You know, people pay a premium to live on the Bedford Metro Parks, you know, having those trails run through their yard. So I guess I take a different perspective as to what it would do to property values and quality of life if you live there. That's all I have.
Anybody else? All right, well, thank you. Next, we'll go to council communications. Mr. Scapidi?
The Board of Zoning Appeals was, actually, they met last Wednesday, and the applicant did not show. So that meeting ended pretty quickly, and there is another BZA meeting scheduled for tomorrow evening here at 6:30. My other committees have not met as of yet. So that's the end of my report tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Yates?
Yes, I did attend the finance meeting tonight. We primarily discussed some proposed changes to the salary ordinance. I believe we're gonna revisit that, have some more discussion on that, and we've already scheduled another finance committee meeting before our next council meeting. I did also attend a residents meeting for the residents on Hillsdale. That was a project that's coming underway. It's going to be a big project with a lot of disruption to that road. But we had residents attend, and I think a lot of questions were asked. I know Mr. Scafidi was there. Mr. Sracy was there also. So, and that's the. Other than that, none of the committees have not met. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. McDermott?
Yes, earlier today I had an opportunity to attend the Volunteer Firefighters Dependent Fund. It was quite interesting. They had elected their chairperson, elected a secretary, and set out some rules for establishing claim rules. And they intend on meeting back again this year. That's all.
Okay, thank you. There was not anything on the agenda for last night's planning commission meeting, so we will as applicants want to see it go before, we'll schedule them. And I did not attend any other meetings in the past 2 weeks. Mr. Racy?
Thank you. As was mentioned, we did have a finance committee meeting earlier, and we're in the middle of discussions with the salary ordinance for this year. And also, I had a Twins Day committee meeting last week, and they're progressing along. If you hadn't heard, this is the 40th anniversary. A lot of people keep asking, what's the theme for this year? And actually, I was confused because I couldn't remember. And then the reason was there isn't a theme for this year. They're going to have a slogan, but they're hoping people pick the best theme that they like the best as their theme to come back and participate in that theme. So that's the biggest question I've had about Twins Day so far. And as the mayor mentioned, she redid the contract for the Twins Days Festival, and she'll be meeting with Andy Miller to discuss that and finalize all the paperwork. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Mayor Prokop?
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Good evening, everybody. And just a couple announcements this evening. The first one is there is a lot going on at our senior center. We talked a little bit earlier about our senior center. They'll be having a Super Bowl party and Mardi Gras party, Valentine's Day brunch, lots of fun things going on. But I'd also like to recognize the senior center tonight, especially Laura Seifert, for the work that she does with our seniors. It's an incredible program. They have wonderful amenities up there, programs for our seniors, exercise classes. Everybody is always busy. But one of the most important things that they do is they transport our seniors to important things like doctor appointments, to the pharmacy to pick up their medications, to the grocery store to get their groceries. And last year, our senior van and our car that we use for senior transport, they did over 6,000 trips for our senior citizens. So I think that's pretty amazing. We have wonderful programs here for our residents. We care about them. And I think that is one of the most caring programs that we have, is taking care of our seniors. So I would like to congratulate Laura for all of the hard work that she does in that department. And I thank council for supporting all of those things because, again, they really are greatly needed by the seniors, and they appreciate it. Other than that, I guess we can start our department head reports, and we'll start with Karen in Finance. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to report on our closing income tax collections for December 2014 and for the entire year. For the month of December, we collected in income tax, city income tax, $1,373,177, compared to December of 2013 receipts of $2,082,380. This reflects a decrease of 34%, or down by $709,202 compared to last year. Refunds are also reflective in the December collections. Total refund about $89,000. Total year-to-date receipts collected is in 2014, $22,878,022 compared to 2013 collection, $25,058,791. This reflects also a decrease of 8.7 overall for the year, down by $2,180,768 compared to last year. The net cash distribution applied due to the 0.25% rate reduction change is $169,842. As a result of the 0.25% rate reduction to the city income tax rate effective 2014, as well as refunds throughout the year, the city of Twinsboro has collected $2,957,568, less than this year. Compared to last year, the city received a total of $3,588,542, less dollars as a result of the rate change. This reflects a 17.58 decrease compared to last year, or $630,000. For the month of January, we collected $1,872,448 compared to January 2014 receipts in the amount of $2,975,820. This reflects a decrease of 39%, or $1,150,372 compared to last year. Refund in the amount of $24,328 is included in the January collections. The net cash distribution applied due to the 0.25% rate change is $216,822. And lastly, I wanted to report, as I of course removed my information. We are pretty close to closing the year 2014. You will have your financial reports for December as well as January. And just to let you know, we'll ballpark as far as the ending for 2014 around $24 million an unexpended balance. The final figure will be provided with you before the end of the year, before the end of this month, I should say. Any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief Morgan, your report tonight? No, you were last week. I'm sorry. Larry Finch, Community Planning.
Good evening.
Hi, Larry.
I have just a relatively brief report tonight. As was discussed earlier, Ordinance 126, 2014 is on its final reading tonight. That ordinance will rezone 2 parcels of property at 2561 East Aurora Road. That's immediately adjacent to the McDonald's. It'll be rezoned from, the ordinance request, it's rezoning from C5 to C3. The change is at the request of the property owner, is reviewed and recommended by Planning Commission at its November 3rd, 2014 meeting. After consideration of the transitional nature of these parcels in the western extreme of the C5 business residence district. I'd like to welcome 2 new businesses to Twinsburg. Clinch Tight will occupy 9300 Dutton Drive. They'll be bringing immediately 15 new employees to the city. They're anticipating growing into the 90,000 square foot building. So they anticipate another 15 or so employees over the next year or so. Pardon me. Also like to welcome CrossFit Fitness at 8054 Darrow Road. They celebrated with a ribbon cutting last Friday, and the mayor and I attended along with Gary Soresi and others, including the chamber people. And I also like to make everybody aware of the comprehensive plan executive summary that has been distributed to the council members, will be in the Planning Commission packets for their use, and is available here at City Hall for anybody who has an interest in this. This is a capsule summary of the 2014 comprehensive plan document. And what you'll find in here basically is an abbreviated perspective of the comprehensive plan. It includes summaries of the transportation elements, of the land use elements of the comprehensive plan, parks and open space, which includes a small map that has the locations of trails and parks and open space and things of that nature. You'll see also a conceptual plan for the central business district and some information about the design characteristics that went into developing a conceptual plan for the downtown. And I'd like to just reiterate to everybody that this is a comprehensive plan document that is basically a policy document and a guide. It's not a specific recommendation. There are specific recommendations in it, but where a line falls on a conceptual plan map does not necessarily mean that's exactly where that's going to be. This is a policy document, and it's including many recommendations and objectives that the city may or may not be able to achieve, but it provides at least a goal for the city to shoot at. So these are available to anybody upon request, and they'll be available in the lobby. Also, we are just wrapping up the Jobs Ready Sites annual report. Actually, is submitted to the state today. The Jobs Ready Sites grant report, which was associated with the redevelopment of the former Chrysler stamping plant as Cornerstone Business Park. The activities that were funded have been completed, and that invested a grant of $2.2 million in some of the demolition and infrastructure at the new Cornerstone site, and was matched by more than $12 million in investment on the part of the property owners in buildings, land, rail modifications, and stormwater management systems serving the entire business park. The Clean Ohio Revitalization Fund portion, which is a $3 million grant, continues. We're in about 85% completion on that, and that should be wrapping up very soon. We are just entering the CRA and top reporting cycle, which begins basically the end of January. CRA reporting forms are not yet available from the state of Ohio, but will be available prior to the end of the month. The letters will go out to the companies, any company benefiting from a tax abatement or a Twinsburg occupancy program grant. And the purpose of the monitoring is to make sure that companies are meeting their commitments under these programs in return for the benefits we give them via grant or property tax abatement. And the CRA reports are basically, they're required by the state. They have to be received by the state by the end of March, and we'll be shooting at that target. That will involve also a meeting of the Tax Incentive Review Council of the City of Twinsburg, which will occur mid-March. So that is my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I would just like to comment here on a couple things. First of all, it is so exciting to see the FedEx building going up at Cornerstone. They're using, I believe it's called tilt wall construction. Is that correct, Larry? And so the progress that's being made is absolutely incredible. Every time you go by, there are another walls up, and it's looking pretty big, and I'm very, very excited about that. Hopefully, by the end of the year, we might have some activity there. Or is that being optimistic? I think it's realistic, too. So that will be very exciting for us to be able to welcome new employees when that building is completed. And the other thing I would like to comment on here is this executive summary. We review the comprehensive plan every 5 years, as you know, and we have talked about doing an executive summary over the years, but this is the first time that we've actually accomplished it because this comprehensive plan was done in a timely manner. We had a great committee of residents who made recommendations. They worked through the comprehensive plan with Larry Finch, with Lynn Muter, who is in the Community Planning Department, with our Planning Commission representatives, council representatives. They put in a lot of time, a lot of work, understood what their goals were and what they were trying to produce, made their recommendations to the Planning Commission, who in turn reviewed it and made recommendation to council for adoption. So it was a great process, a smooth process. They took everything into account. There's great information in here, the demographics. One of the things that I was really amazed about is the shift in the demographics. In 10 years, our senior population increased from, I think, just so I'm saying it correctly here, the percentage of population over 59 increased from 12.5% in 2000 to 20% in 2010. So we have an aging population in the city of Twinsburg, plus the school-age population has really stabilized. The children, the school-age children in the community are at about 19%. So we have different demands. As you can see, our senior center is very popular. We have lots of senior services that we're offering, and we're adjusting the programs that we offer according to the population. One of the most things I'm absolutely proud of is the percentage of open space in the city of Twinsburg. About 23% of the land in Twinsburg is open space, and it's municipally owned open space. A lot of people have parks. They might have a Metro Parks in their community or the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. The city of Twinsburg owns this land, and it will be preserved in perpetuity for generations to come. So we have a lot to be proud of, and that's what's in this document. As Larry said, a concept plan for the central area of the city of Twinsburg. I would encourage you to pick up a copy of this, and the comprehensive plan is a little lengthy to go through that entire manual. So this is a nice summary that everybody can understand and enjoy. Full color maps, and I think you'll really get a better understanding of the city of Twinsburg. That's That's all I have to say on that. And I believe we have one more report, Human Resources, Clint Wolosnik.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
From Human Resources, we are getting ready for our open enrollment meetings for our health care. They're going to be held on February 9th, 10th, and 11th. Employees will be able to select a health care plan for 2015, and they'll also have an opportunity to meet with some of our various health, insurance, and financial vendors to explore additional retirement savings and insurance options. The renewal for Medical Mutual originally came in at approximately 16.7% increase, but with some negotiation on our drug card, agreeing to pay just a little bit more for prescriptions, we were able to negotiate the increase down to 10% this year. Basically, the plan designs will be the same, with the prescription cards just being a little bit higher than they were last year. Additionally, seasonal hiring is up and running. The new website, we've made some improvements in the process for applying for and completing new hire paperwork. So anyone who is interested in seasonal employment in the Parks and Rec, such as camp leaders, lifeguards, concession stand workers, and at Glen Eagles, rangers, starters, you can find more information on the city website. Yeah, for civil service, the applications are currently being accepted for the patrol officer exam, which will take place on February 8th at 1 p.m. at Dodge School. So far, we have over 90 applicants. We're accepting up to 150. The deadline is February 6th at 2 p.m. In the IT department, a new warm backup site has been established at the community center. Basically, this new service will provide an off-site backup to all our servers. In addition to we do have some backup just built into the system here, but this will be off-site and be able to function in case of extreme emergency. The new system continuously monitors for new files as they are created, and it copies them to the backup server within an hour, so that if everything did go down, the maximum that we would lose was an hour worth of data. We also have received some initial quotes for the new camera system here in City Council chambers. These quotes are coming in a little higher than we expected, so we may have to seek some additional appropriations, but we'll get a better idea of that once Mark gets all the numbers in from all the various vendors. That's it.
Thank you.
And that is the end of our report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we'll go to legislation. Start with ordinance 126, 2014.
An ordinance rezoning 2 parcels of property located at 2561 East Aurora Road, Twinsburg, Ohio, from C5 mixed resident business use to C3 interchange business use.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 126, 2014. Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Yates seconds. Discussion?
No, I think this proposed change in zoning, I think it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. I think it's consistent with the progression of the businesses as we move away from the interchange there. And I think there's a distinct a line, I believe it's Commerce Park, that makes sense to to allow this area to be developed. There was feedback from residents that this would abut straight to who was in favor of this rezoning, and so I'm going to support it.
Anybody else? Again, any zoning changes in the city park charter are voted on by the residents with a ward veto opportunity. So this is just part of the process to get this on the ballot for most likely the spring. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Ordinance 126, 2014 passes 5-0. We're going to pass over ordinance 127, 2014, and that'll put us to ordinance 150, 2014.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio, to enter into a contract with the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association Patrol Unit.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 150, 2014.
I'll second.
Mr. McDermott seconds. Discussion? This is a union contract that we're allowing the mayor to enter into. It's been negotiated over the last 6 months. Any other comments? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Mr. Sorese,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi,
Yes.
Mr. Yates.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 150, 2014 passes 5-0. Ordinance 01, 2015.
An ordinance establishing membership fees and rates for the fitness center in the Parks and Recreation Department.
Resolution 04, 2015.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a 5-year professional service agreement with Perry and Associates to provide for the audit of the city's financial statements for the years ending December 31st, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018.
I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 04, 2015. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Sorese seconds. Discussion? All right. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Sorese,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Mr. Yates.
Yes.
Resolution 04, 2015 passes 5-0. Resolution 05, 2015.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Squires, Patton, and Boggs LLP to provide bond counseling services.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 05, 2015. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Yates, second. Discussion?
This is just moving our bond council to Squires, Patton, and Boggs.
Anybody else? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Yates,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Mr. Sorese.
Yes.
Resolution 05, 2015 passes 5-0. Resolution 06, 2015.
A resolution appointing 2 members to the Architectural Review Board and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 06, 2015. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. McDermott
Oh.
seconds.
Are
Um,
we making a motion to adopt it as an emergency?
Yes, I was. Thank you very much. So now that we're adopting this resolution as an emergency and Mr. McDermott is second, is there any discussion? I'd like to make a motion that we add the name of Marge Gantos into the first line for a term from 2/1 of 15 to 1/31 of 18. And on the second line, I'd like to add John Midlick for the same duration of term.
I'll second that.
Mr. Sorese seconds. Discussion? Can you call the roll on the motion?
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Sorese,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Mr. Yates,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi.
Yes.
Okay. Now I'd like to adopt as an emergency Resolution 06, 2015 as amended. Can you call that roll?
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Mr. Yates,
Yes.
Mr. Sorese,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi.
Yes.
All right. Resolution 06, 2015 passes 5-0 as amended, an emergency. Excuse me. Resolution 07, 2015.
A resolution appointing 2 members to the Capital Improvement Board and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 07, 2015 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Sorese seconds. Discussion? I'd like to make a motion to add, oh, excuse me. I don't want to do anything. We are still looking for a Ward 4 member to add to this board, so if anybody's interested, we could entertain that. So I do not have a motion to change this because the name of Matt Solero is already added for Ward 5, and we do not have a Ward 4 person, so if there's not any further discussion, we could just call the roll.
Call the roll.
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Sorese,
Yes.
Mr. Yates,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott.
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 07, 2015 passes as an emergency 5-0. Resolution 08, 2015.
A resolution appointing 4 members to the Environmental Commission and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt as an emergency Resolution 08, 2015. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Yates seconds. Discussion? I would like to make a motion to adopt, to add the name of Gary Goldner to Ward 1 for a term of 2/1/15 to 1/31/17. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Yates seconds. Any discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll on the motion?
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Yates,
Yes.
Mr. Sorese,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott.
Yes.
Okay. Can you now call roll to enact 08/2015 as an emergency as amended?
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Yates,
Yes.
Mr. Roden, sorry, Mr. Sorese,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott.
Yes.
Yes. Resolution 08/2015 passes as an emergency as amended 5-0. And that was for the Environmental Commission, and if you're a Ward 4 resident, we still have an opening for that board as well. Mrs. Williams, you live in Ward 4. Would you like to be on the Environmental Commission? Yes, ma'am, I understand.
We could amend it again.
I could amend it again, man. I mean, I'm right here.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I'm on the fly. I could do this. Resolution 10/2015.
We're on 9, I think.
Oh, excuse me. I apologize. I was so confused trying to fill 8. Resolution 09/2015, please.
A resolution appointing 3 members to the Parks and Recreation Commission and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to adopt as an emergency resolution 09/2015.
I'll second.
Mr. Sorese seconds. Discussion? I'd like to make a motion to amend Resolution 09/2015 to add the name Lisa Turner for Ward 1 and the name John Blust for the at-large position. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Sorese seconds. Any discussion? I didn't see you. So,
I'll yield.
Okay. Sorry.
could you
Who's
give us some
second?
comments there, Mr. Scafidi?
No, I have no comments. Thank you.
Who was the second?
John Blust.
Who seconded the motion? Sam,
Sam seconded it.
thank you.
All right. Is there any further discussion? You call the roll, please.
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi,
Yes.
Mr. Sorese,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Mr. Yates.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 09/2015 passes 5-0 as amended on an emergency. Resolution 10/2015.
That was the motion to amend it. We didn't have a motion to pass
Okay,
it still?
can I have can I make a motion to adopt resolution 09/2015 as amended on an emergency? What do you want me to do?
We have the first, you made a motion, and then you made a motion to amend, so we need a vote on the actual original motion.
Call the roll.
Okay,
Mr. Fury,
yes.
Mr. Sorese,
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi,
Yes.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes.
Mr. Yates.
Yes.
Okay, so now resolution 09/2015 is adopted on an emergency as amended. And now we'll go to resolution 10/2015.
A resolution authorizing the city to dispose certain property owned by the city of Twinsburg and no longer needed for municipal purposes by exchanging it with University Hospitals for a Lucas CPR device.
Okay, I make a motion that we adopt resolution 10/2015. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Sorese seconds. Discussion?
Yes. I'm very excited about this. I think this is a great opportunity for the city of Twinsburg. As you know, University Hospitals donated a Lucas device to us, in fact, at a council meeting a few weeks ago, and it performs CPR. It's a great benefit for our fire department to have. And now we have the opportunity to trade a piece of equipment that we don't use, this old rescue truck, which University Hospitals would like to obtain. In return, we would get a second Lucas device, and I think it's a great win-win situation for both of us. And I'd like to thank Chief Morgan for working out the details to that swap. So we do appreciate that.
Mr. Fury.
Sure, Mr. Scafidi.
I have a question, Chief. Is this our second, or would this be our third?
Actually, it's our third.
I thought
That
we
is our
had,
third,
we
yeah.
purchased one, and then
Purchased one initially, we got the donation last year, and then this exchange would give us the third.
this will
It
give
is.
us our third. Okay. Good. Feel safe.
And I think the other part of it is that it establishes a value for that truck at $14,000, which I think is a fair amount,
Right.
instead of leaving it up to auction to see what we get for the truck. So,
Awesome. Okay, thank
Good
you.
job.
Good deal, thank you.
Any other comments? Shannon, would you call the roll on Resolution 10, 2015?
Mr.
No.
Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Resolution 10, 2015 passes 5-0. Resolution 11, 2015.
An ordinance establishing a policy to permit employees to fund their health savings account through the use of a sick leave cash-out program under certain limited circumstances and declaring an emergency.
I have a question for Law Director. You're calling out in the title, it calls out an ordinance, but it's a resolution. Which is it? I don't have my, I don't have the hard copy in front of me.
Yeah, let me bring up the hard copy. I have the
Thank you.
shortened version.
I didn't
We're
catch that earlier.
establishing a policy, Mr. Fury, so I'm not sure how it's captioned, but the reason it was intended to be a resolution, the reason we have the emergency is because we have the meetings coming up, I believe, next week or the following, within the 10-day
Alright.
period.
So can I just change, okay.
You know,
Alright.
it's treated as a resolution, it is captioned a resolution.
So I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 11, 2015 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Sorese seconds. Discussion?
Yes, I would also like to comment on this one. This was an idea that came out of the Health Cost Containment Committee from our employees who participate in that committee. I think it's a great idea. It encourages use of the HSA and a benefit not only to the city but to our employees. So again, adoption of this, I think the employees will certainly appreciate that.
Okay. Anybody else? Shannon, would you call the roll on 11, 2015?
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Resolution 11, 2015 passes 5-0. Are we going to read Resolution 12, 2015, or are we passing over it?
12 and 13, just pass over if you want.
Okay. In that case, we're at unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mr. Scafidi?
I have none tonight, thank you.
Mr. Yates?
None for me.
Mr. McDermott?
I have nothing tonight.
Mr. Sorese?
Nothing?
Mayor Prokop?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Mr. Maestros?
Nothing, thank you.
Shannon?
Nothing, thank you.
I think we're done. With that, we're going to adjourn. Oh, excuse me. I would like to make a motion to excuse absent members Seth Roden and Maureen Stoffer. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Yates seconds. Any discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury,
Yes.
Mr. Yates?
Yes.
Mr. Sorese?
Yes.
Mr. Scafidi?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Okay. The motion passes 5-0. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.